As we move on to our next healthcare-related panel discussion titled Future-Proofing the Health of Nations, we're excited to hear from experts in their respective fields. Now, the panel will be moderated by Dr. Fatih Mehmet, who's the CEO and Vice President of UAE and Group Growth Office, Fakeeh University Hospital, and our esteemed panelists are Mr. Ashish Koshy, CEO of G42 Healthcare, and Mr. Hicham MIRGHANI, Director for GCC Corporate Affairs, AstraZeneca.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for your time. Thanks for joining us today. We really enjoyed to hear Dr. Howe's presentation. Thanks, Dr. Howe. I don't know if it was a hologram or the real person, but we're all real here. I was in Jeddah. I just flew in because we cannot, the physicians, they're the last person using such technology. So we are a bit different people. So then, thanks for joining us today, ladies, gentlemen. I'm glad to be the moderator for this panel. And then we will be discussing how we can translate such developments of such wild imaginations in healthcare. In our hospital, you know that the current thing we have been discussing for the last 20 years, but nowadays we are seeing the robots at least in the hospitals. And we were planning to acquire the robot for our hospital in Saudi Arabia. And today we're working together with the Intuitive. And just before that, we made a market analysis and we checked and we communicated with our patients over there in Saudi Arabia how they think about having a robot in a hospital. People were furious. They simply told us that if there is a robot in my surgery, I'm not going to accept that. I want to go to the real surgeon. I don't want to be operated by a robot. Because people think that robot will be alone in the room, and this is something fiction. And that is something scary. None of us want to stay in an operating theater alone with a robot, right? So then these are the models and discussions we have been seeing in our healthcare industry. But I'm glad to tell you that today we are already implementing many technologies thanks to our partners, technology companies, and now it is time to create the right structure and understand that and learn from each other. So I'm Fatih. I'm a hospital CEO and then working for Fakeeh Care Group. And I have amazing two panelists with me today. Mr. Ashish Koshy. He is the CEO of G42 company, which is a company actually which is followed by all the industry and bringing new items, new discussions to the industry. And we're all glad to have him here. And I have also Mr. Hicham MIRGHANI. He is the Corporate Affairs Director for GCC for AstraZeneca pharmaceutical company. And you know that nowadays pharmaceutical companies, they are not also just working on the medication, they're working on too many different projects up to digital therapeutics and then the other things. Now, we're all excited to hear things from them, what they're doing, and we want to hear the updates from their side. So, Ashish, I want to start with you. Your company has been always at the front for genomic, for AI, for telemedicine. And as the conventional healthcare providers, we're following your company and we want to understand more how you implement such things. So I want to understand your thoughts about implementing such new technologies. And now we have been just hearing amazing wild things as well. So what do you think, how these feature-proof part will get benefit out of these technologies?
Sure. Thanks, Dr. Fatih. And it's a pleasure to connect with you once again on the same stage, maybe 6 months apart. Good morning, everyone. And once again, thank you to the organizers, WSBF and the Ministry of AI for inviting us here. To the question, Dr. Fatih, I know, I think we're just following up some great presentations, as you said, of wild imaginations and avatars. So rightly coming into that as G42, we are, just to add some context, we are an AI company, and I think a young company, we're just roughly 3 years old, and at that time we had a strategy of setting up a data acquisition, a data processing and a data integration and a AI model on top. So some context on how we sort of operate on the points that you mentioned on telemedicine and genomics. We have four main pillars within our organization. The pillars that you reference are the digital health pillar and the multi-omics pillar. We work with Hicham also on the pharmaceutical pillar, and hopefully we can touch upon that also during this panel discussion. But within the digital health and specifically on the technologies, a case and example is a platform that we've built called the Malafi platform. I'm pretty sure you're aware of it. It's a health information exchange, irrespective of which hospital, which EMR it is. It consolidates and it centralizes phenotypical structured data sets into one single platform. We are working on a Shafafia program, which is the insurance claims also. So you have insurance claims also at scale in a centralized platform. What we're good at is to build AI models on top of that. It sounds easy, but to clean that data set and to ensure that it's annotated, to make sure insights come out of it, it's hard work. And I wish it was something as fancy as some of the slides we saw here. But one thing we're proud about is we're actually changing healthcare one step at a time. When I say changing healthcare, I mean we're changing clinical outcomes. Now, imagine a world where a doctor gets access to patients' data irrespective of which hospital he visits. He gets to see his pharmacogenomics pan. That is, when he walks in, he does not need to ask that individual, what are your allergies, what are your risks? He has it within him. We have working with a couple of wearable companies, which we have already integrated also into the Malafi portal. So proactively managing health is the biggest issue we have here. And that's the part that we are trying to break through by using some of the technologies that we have, which is the HIE, the Shafafia. And on top of that, we've built cohort analysis based on the genomics data sets that we've built. And now when I say genomics, it's at scale just for the knowledge of everyone sitting here. It's one of the largest infrastructures that's built. Each human genome is roughly around 500 gigabytes of data. Now you take that at scale, combine that and correlate with the other data sets. We need high competition, high processing, and that's where the beauty comes in. And the insights that come out of it, it's going to change, or I like to call it as disrupt healthcare and potentially add value and get access to the personalized medicine that we're talking about.
Amazing. No, thank you so much. And for those audiences who do not have much information about Malafi, it is kind of a national health record, which allows providers, insurance companies, and others to reach to all health records in once. And in addition, also for the personal use, Malafi gives access to you, regardless the healthcare provider you visit. On one platform, you can actually see all this data. There was an article in Financial Times last week. It was talking about the free finance management. I mean, there are small finance companies. Now the large banks, they are sharing the data. And from one application, you can see all your data from the large banks. And with that way, actually, they're creating a new market. I hope with Malafi, we will also go to this kind of thing. So then small applications will be able to reach the data and create new solutions, new products for the people. And I believe with this way, we will be able to make it future-proof.
Correct.
So, Hicham, I mean, AstraZeneca is doing amazing things when we follow the news. And then also in the last 5 years, healthcare industry itself, it has changed dramatically. We have been forced. We healthcare industry, it change is very difficult for us. But we have been forced to change. I don't want to thank to the COVID, but somehow there are some benefits around. So then tell us about your key strategies. What kind of changes you were able to adopt from these times? And then what kind of solutions you think you're going to bring from AstraZeneca side to the patients and to the industry?
Thank you very much, Dr. Fatih. And it's a real pleasure to be here with all of you today and discuss the future of the healthcare. So again, I think what we have seen over the last decade is a big shift in terms of how big pharma look at their business model. So for many years, we were focusing just only on discovering, manufacturing, and distributing drugs to improve the quality of life. But today, with the emergence of AI and technology, our dream has changed. We'd like to cure cancer. We'd like to eradicate non-communicable disease. And that's exactly our mission at AstraZeneca. We'd like to make health happen for the people, for the society, and for the planet. There's one very important component that we have incorporated into our strategy. As we're moving away now for the COVID-19 pandemic, which was probably one of the greatest societal challenges that we have been facing during the last 10 years, we should not forget that the climate emergency is the most pressing threat to health that will potentially put a lot of pressure on the health system resilience. And again, at AstraZeneca, we are taking the climate crisis very seriously. We are taking a pledge globally to decarbonize our operations and to become carbon negative by 2030. So what does it mean locally? And that's why we are also really happy to have COP28 taking place at the end of the year here in Dubai. We would like to work with regulators, but also with partners with G42 to find opportunities, leveraging technology to also decarbonize the care pathway. Let me give you a concrete example of what I mean by decarbonizing the care pathway. So currently, if you take patients suffering from CKD, this is probably one of the biggest complications of type 2 diabetes. And we know that those patients are meant to go to the hospital every week for dialysis. And this creates a lot of carbon footprint. And at the same time, those patients are at a high risk of mortality. So what we would like to do working with partners such as G42 and regulators is to have intervention to really move from a reactive care to proactive care, early identifying those patients at a high risk to take concrete actions for the benefit of the patients, but also for the planet. And that's exactly how we would like to tackle the climate crisis from a healthcare point of view.
Amazing, amazing. I mean, it is very obvious. We as healthcare industry, we work to heal the community and people. While trying to heal the community, definitely we don't want to damage the environment. Then we will create more patients, and then it is a vicious cycle. So we definitely don't want to have such thing, and I really appreciate, sharing this. Ashish, you just mentioned about the agreement and then the collaboration with AstraZeneca and then the project. Could you please elaborate more?
Sure. It's a partnership we are extremely proud of, but I'm sure it's from both sides. AstraZeneca is a formidable partner. It's one, the second largest pharmaceutical company in the world. And for us, our partnership is across not just, as Hicham rightly said, of distribution of vaccines. It's about building in the UAE, manufacturing in the UAE, and also some exciting details which we were actually discussing even before walking here. We're working on registries, leveraging genomics data sets. How do we create registries for BRCA, breast cancer patients, and other oncology cases where we can get subject matter expertise, which AstraZeneca has, and we have the data layer which we can build models of and work on a mechanism that, work on the local population here. Keep in mind, most of the clinical trials, and I'm pretty sure Hicham will agree, are done on a different type of population, not necessarily that it needs to work here. It's a hit and a go. What we are trying to do here in the UAE is leverage these data sets, and I know Kirill had mentioned data is fuel. I know it gets repetitive, but here we are at the cusp of actually doing that, using data, using subject matter expertise, using technologies all put together and find solutions that actually, as Hicham mentioned, find a cure for cancer. So it's across 4 different streams: research, innovation, and manufacturing, with the KPI that we have as a UAE organization to build in the UAE and manufacture in the UAE. And so
you're a very humble person. I think we have to elaborate it a little bit further.
Sure.
You're handling 3 million people data minimum in your hand. And in the world, there are a very minimum number of people who can have this kind of data. And this data, I believe, in my view, is a gold mine. Then from this gold mine, you can create lots of things. And I believe we will hear lots of great things. And AstraZeneca is also very lucky to have such a partner over there. And I appreciate this. This way, we can bring some additional benefit to the community. So when we look at the AstraZeneca side, we're hearing too many innovations and innovative projects all over the world. In different parts of the world, they are introducing new programs in American continent, in African continent, and the others. So what is the AstraZeneca's approach to the GCC, and then how are you planning to bring those innovative solutions to the GCC countries?
Now, that's a very good question. And again, I think for AstraZeneca, we also cherish partnership with our local partners. And that's why it was a no-brainer for us to work with G42, which is probably one of the most advanced partners in terms of genomics. If you look at their capabilities, they have state-of-the-art technology. And for AstraZeneca globally, that's also a great opportunity because as we're moving towards precision medicine, the base is to get data from the genomic. And again, we cannot do this alone. We need to basically have an open collaboration. And that's why for us working with G42 to identify potentially what are the future cure of tomorrow is critical for us to build this partnership. That's one example of how we're going to basically develop breakthrough medicine through open collaboration. Another very important element that we're working on is, of course, AI technology. And currently we are working with DOH and another startup to basically see how we can leverage AI to early detect lung cancer through X-ray screening. And that's also very important because it will not only bend the curve of lung cancer death, but at the same time, it will also allow to give an opportunity for patients who do not have access to a certain healthcare facilities to be able to be screened through a very affordable technology. So that's exactly the type of solution that we would like to focus on, leveraging AI, but also working with partners like G42 on the genomic space.
Excellent, excellent. I mean, as you can see, lots of things are coming up in healthcare industry as well. Our pictures will not be as sexy as Dr. Howe's pictures, as wild, but then we're also trying all our best. But you will hear lots of things. So here I just want to ask one question. I'm sure you have many R&D projects in G42 as well. Would you like to give some excitement to the people about new coming projects from G42 side?
Sure. I mean, there's a lot in terms of pipeline, specifically on the points that you mentioned, because we are fortunate and blessed to be working in a country with that sort of vision. We have 3 million data points of patients, diverse population. You have genomics at scale beyond 400,000 individuals. And these 3 million data points, you have image exchange also. So irrespective of structured data set, you have imaging. So for those researchers, for the other universities, we have an example of a project that I can talk about is a pharmacogenomics project, which I mentioned, is how do we ensure that we can take the structured data set, go into the ICD codes of the history of patients, take their genomics, even combine wearables, and then plug it back into the Malafi and also plug in it as an API call back to the EHRs. Because some of them, I know you mentioned previously, I'm going back to the point that you raised, I think twice, even the last time on robotics. I think it needs a mentality change of individuals, which I feel is the biggest challenge that I feel across in AI is the human problem to the acceptance of technology as not a replacement, but as an enabler. And that, once you apply that, the R&D projects is here.
Indeed.
We are a living example of an organization, 3 years old, grew from a team of 5. Now we're part of a large M42, which is a merged entity with Mubadala Health. Where you mentioned CKD, we've just made an investment into a diaverum, which is present in 27 countries.
Amazing.
And an employee from a group of 5, now we have 22,000 employees in one group. So impossible is possible if you have the right mentality and you embrace technology.
Excellent. Under your leadership, I'm sure, I mean, we will hear lots of great things over there. So these are the things what we heard. So then from AstraZeneca also, we want to hear something. I'm sure you also have something in your shelf. Tell us some part which you can share without the confidentiality.
On the R&D space? Or?
Something to excite the audiences. What do we expect from AstraZeneca to hear next?
I think what we do expect is that, surprisingly, you will see that now there will be more and more focus from AstraZeneca on the climate action. I think that now we realize that people health and the climate action are two sides of the same coins. So historically, companies were focusing mainly on producing medication, but now you will see a much more balanced approach between how we can minimize our carbon footprint and go into products which are not part of our core business, like forestation, to also offset our carbon footprint, and at the same time continue to deliver breakthrough medication. So I think you will see a much more balanced approach between focusing on drug discovery, but at the same time taking concrete action with multiple partners on the climate action. And that's why COP28 at the end of the year will be a great opportunity to showcase and shed light on our future strategy.
Excellent, excellent. I mean, at the end of the day, it is also about the accessibility. When we were listening to the previous presentation again, he was saying that for $100, you can reach to a solution which is unimaginable 10 years ago. So we also have been working on making this accessibility in healthcare. So then the personalized medicine should not mean spending thousands of $1,000,000. We should also work on that. And I'm sure there are too many companies working on that front. This is what my patients are asking for. Today, we have the biogenic medications, and then it's too costly. I mean, one injection could cost you $4,000, $5,000, and then you may need it every week. So then we're also working on that one. With that, solutions, partnerships, and then the service provider, I'm sure we will create a future-proof healthcare industry together. So thanks for your patience. I really appreciate your time for this panel. And thanks to my great panelists again. Thank you very much. Thanks again.